Cubs outfielder Kyle Tucker did his absolute best to make the Astros regret trading him.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into MLB Game Night, where we cover every single game, every single night, as only the Locked On Podcast Network can do it. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, host of the Braves Postcast over on Locked On Sports Atlanta. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That is Steve Lennox, host of the Locked On Red Sox Postcast. You can follow him on X at Lennox on Baseball. Steve, a lot of stuff to get to tonight. The Yankees got shut out again. You'll be amazed how many times that's happened in the month of June. Casey Mize of the Tigers, one of the better starters that we're not talking enough about. And the Royals finally win a home game in June. But before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So, Steve, I started off in that cold open there talking about Kyle Tucker. He had a big night in Game 2 of Cubs Astros in Houston in a 12-3 Cubs victory. Here's one of our favorites, Sam Olber from Locked On Cubs, to break down what happened in this one.
Hey, Cubs with a kind of surprise blowout win, 12-3 over the Astros on Saturday night in Houston. Big day for Kyle Tucker, 4 hits, a homer, Suzuki homered, Bush homered. Cubs did what they do when they score a lot of runs lately. They hit a lot of home runs. Things were looking a little bit dicey early when, of course, Cam Smith hit his second home run in as many days. He looks like a pretty polished prospect, but the Cubs bounced back, had a huge inning, and cruised from there. Give Colin Ray credit for battling through a tough lineup and a tough matchup. He did his job, and the Cubs will go for a series win on Sunday. But they're going to have to do something that they haven't been able to do, which is get to a left-handed pitcher. They got to the right-hander on Saturday night. They've been getting to righties on this road trip. It's the lefties that have been bothering them. But Saturday night, really nice win for the Cubs. They needed it, and they'll go for a series win Sunday afternoon.
I'm curious, Steve, would you rather have one season of Kyle Tucker or 6 seasons of Cam Smith?
As Sam was saying that, and you set that up beautifully, I was thinking, wow, Cub fans are going to be really upset in 2026 if Tucker is playing with another team and Cam Smith is really establishing himself in Houston. But understand, this is how I'll argue this one. You've got P. Crow Armstrong.
I was about to say, they did the opposite version of this.
The Mets are saying, you know what? We'd like to have that one back. And Javi Baez having a pretty good season in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even a full season of Javi Baez. If I remember right, they got him at like the end of July.
Yes.
And it was also Trevor Williams and some cash too. But still, like they've been on both sides of this now. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Cam Smith, hey, I love it. I love the fact that he goes there and he's producing against his former team.
Yeah, I hate revenge games. I talk about that all the time on here. Those are actual things. Framber Valdez versus Jamison Tyone. Really intriguing matchup. I'm trying to figure out if the Cubs have actually been that bad against lefty starters or not. They're hitting 254 against lefty starters. They're hitting 255 against righty starters.
How many lefties have they seen? Because not a lot of left-handed starters.
That's the
starters
thing.
around
Yeah,
Major League Baseball.
it's 23 games against lefty starters. They've got 33 home runs and a 759 OPS. 59 games against righties, not counting today. Baseball Reference hasn't updated yet. 255 average, 772 OPS. Like, it's within 13 points of OPS. Yeah. I didn't realize the difference was that big, but maybe, I guess Sam watches them every day. He's a little more tuned in than I am. This might be an outlier from one massive game against a lefty or something.
Valdez will be going for his 9th win. Tyone, ERA over 4.5, but 7 wins on the season. How much longer, and this is the second time McCullers Jr. coming off the IL, but how much longer do they throw him out there in a starting role?
I mean, they kind of have to right now until they can find, just get somebody else healthy that can step in. Like, they've just lost so many guys to injury, whether it's, Christian Javier, Garcia, things like that. Like they just don't have any other options. I like to think eventually they'll be able to replace him, but you're just waiting for somebody to come off the IL. Talking about a team that Sunday is going to be a matchup of how they replaced him. But before we get to that, Athletics at Yankees. A's shut them out 7-0. We're going to hear from Booney in just a second, but I want to point out this is the 5th time in the month of June that the Yankees have been shut out. This looked like one of the 2 best offenses in baseball early in the year, and they're just, now that it's warm, they've been scuffling a bit.
Yeah, Aaron Judge doesn't have a hit in this series, and it really is on his big shoulders. You know, as this offense is going to go, he's got 13 runs batted in the month of June. That's a low number compared to what he was full month of April and full month of May. But I just feel like Goldschmidt, LeMahieu, I heard possibility of Key Brian Hayes might be somebody that they have interest in. Not sure if that's got wings or not, but this offense feels like it could use a little bit more because if they're not relying on the home runs, sometimes they can be like every other big league club and not put together multiple hits in an inning where they're going to scratch out a couple of runs.
Eugenio Suarez feels like he's sheevered to me for them to get at third and just move Jazz to second, but we'll see what happens either way. Real quick on him. Yeah. He's going to go. I think he's going to go right down to the final couple of minutes of the trade deadline because the Diamondbacks, if they play it right, and I think they will, with Mike Hayes in the front office, they could get a ton for him, especially if Bregman's not on the move. So that's a big thing there. All right, here's Booney from Locked On A's. We usually play them first, but here's Booney with Locked On A's talking about what happened in this one.
Breaking news, the A's just shut out the New York Yankees 7-0. And no, this isn't a simulation. This actually happened. This is Booney from Locked On A's. Brett Rooker went yard for his 17th of the year, and rookie Nick Kurtz hit a 3-run nuke that's still orbiting the Big Apple. Number 12 for the rookie. And the Yankees, they look like they were stuck in a group project with no leader. JP Sears, absolutely locked in. Rookie Jack Perkins came in and said, nah, you're not scoring either. Judge, Stanton, Chisholm, silent, like library silent. A's take this one 7-0. And yeah, it feels good to get one of these every now and then. A's, only 10 games back in the wild card. Just saying.
I love fired up Booney. I love salty fired up Booney. That's so much fun. Here's the big surprising thing to me is Clark Schmidt actually gave up runs. He had a great stat that you have here that Sarah Langs gave everybody. 28 1/3 inning scoreless streak was the longest by a Yankee starter in a single season since 1951 when Allie Reynolds had 30 consecutive scoreless innings. What a stat. But he gives up 4 earned in this one, gets popped for 2 homers. And on the Kurtz homer, by the way, last 13 games, he's got 7 homers and 15 RBI. I think he's settling into the majors quite nicely.
Love to see it.
Yeah. All right. Twins at Tigers. This has been a really interesting series. This is one the Tigers even it up. They win 10-5. Here's Brandon Warren from Locked On Twins about the struggles of Bailey Ober.
Bailey Ober was popped for 11 hits, 7 runs, and 4 home runs as a Buck-fueled 2-1 lead quickly turned into a massive deficit as the Tigers doubled up the Twins 10-5 at Comerica Park on Saturday afternoon. I'm Brandon Warren with your Locked On Twins post-game minute. The Tigers were held off the scoreboard in the first inning and then scored in each subsequent inning, 7 straight in total, on the way to 10 runs on the afternoon. In doing so, this became the first time the Twins had allowed a run in 7 straight innings of any game since June 5th, 1987 against the Texas Rangers. I was 1 year old. Wow. Ober's 4 home runs came in all shapes and sizes, with Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, Zach McKinstry, and Gleyber Torres all bashing long balls off the bearded nightmare, who finishes June with 13 homers allowed. Boy, July can't come soon enough. Fun fact, Carlos Correa's homer off Tommy Kahnle in the 8th inning was his first off a non-fastball this season. He'd had 3 off 4-seamers and 3 off 2-seamers, but this was a changeup, a 1-0 changeup from Tommy Kahnle. Up next, Twins send Chris Paddock to the bump against Tariq Skubal. in the final game of the series with the Tigers on Sunday evening. First pitch, 6 p.m. That's right, it's Sunday Night Baseball. Your Twins are on there for the first time in a long time and maybe the last time. So we will have full coverage for you. This is Locked On Twins.
Real quick question. Who is having the bigger, more important resurgent season? Casey Mize, 8-2, 286 ERA after this win, 2 earned, 5 strikeouts, and 6 2/3, or Byron Buxton, who's batting 286 with 19 homers and 15 stolen bases? Which of these is more important for his team? Which is more important for baseball?
I say Mize because they're the division leader right now, and that's a starting pitcher that you're putting behind Tarek Skubal, either in that number 2 spot or number 3 spot come October. And you'd like to see Casey Mize. I think he's got the poise, the presence, and he's a young veteran now. So I'd love to see him postseason baseball. So I'll probably always side on the side of the pitcher with this one. He's big right now for Detroit.
Having that second guy for them down the stretch, I think, is big. Like Jack Flaherty's had trouble. You get to the postseason, like Skubal's going to be your game 1 guy. We all know that.
Yeah.
But like game 2, it's Casey Mize. Like that's who it is right now over Jack Flaherty, over Sawyer Gibson-Long, and then everybody else on the IL that's out for a while, Ty Madden, Jose Urquidy, everybody else. So yeah, definitely there. Although I'm happy for Buxton that he's doing it.
100%.
All right, rapid fire real quick on these 2 games. Dodgers at Royals. Royals take this one 9-5. So break 2 streaks here. LA had a 5-game winning streak. That's over. Royals had a 6-game losing streak, including 11 straight at home to cover the entire month of June that was broken. Seth Lugo, 5 2/3 scoreless, 8 strikeouts, does walk 5. But Vinny Pasquantino, 5 RBI, hit a 3-run home run in the 5th. Jonathan India had 4 hits and 3 runs. Bobby Witt had 4 hits and 3 runs. Flip side, Shohei Ohtani, 0 for 4 at the plate with 3 strikeouts. Does pitch 2 scoreless innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and touches 102 in a fastball to Vinny Pasquantino, who he gets to ground into a double play. So that was impressive.
Yeah. Good for the Royals. That's all I can say on that one.
I'm happy for him. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Rays at Orioles. This series has been nuts. Okay. Rays were up 6-0 last night and went on to get destroyed in that one, 22-8. This one, 4 in the first, 4 in the fourth, never in doubt, 11-3 win. Jonathan Aranda, his 10th home run. Yandy had a 3-run homer, his 13th, pushed the lead to 8-0. And Zach Littell, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, just quietly continues to be solid. As a AL East guy, are you concerned about the Rays just taking over and winning the division? Like you've seen them against your Red Sox.
Yeah, I'm not concerned because I'll take Davey over Goliath any day of the week. And a half game back. Friday, geez, that was a rough one.
To be up 6-0 and lose 22-8.
Yeah. They just took it on the chin. I think we talked about Shane Baz earlier this week. Taj Bradley goes in the finale on Sunday. Curious to see how he goes up against Dean Kramer. But, the Rays, you can't count them out. And this is going back a long time now. It's just, what do they do in October? Are they to go to college baseball world? Are they, 1 series and done? Are they 2 and Q or, along those lines? I'm curious to see McClanahan. Is it August? And again, I think Shane McClanahan, can they add? What can they add that tells the guys with this team, hey, we're giving you a little bit more pep. We're behind you 100%. We know we don't have the best circumstances here, but we're going to play October baseball, and we're going to add a little bit here. I mean, there's so much going on with this organization. It never stops with them. So the guys who have been there, they've been there, done that, and they're used to it.
Absolutely. All right, in just a second, let's talk about Cardinals Guardians. This has been another interesting series. We'll do that next right here on MLB Game Night. Listen, if you love live music, then you've been here before. Logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, sitting through the queue, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping, that's where Game Time comes in. Because Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals. If you don't want to scroll through every available seating option, Game Time has a zone deal where you pick a section, they'll pick the best seats in that section for you, show you a panoramic seat view so you know what to expect, and give you the final price you pay without hidden fees. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Steve, one of the kind of crazier series of the weekend so far has been Cardinals at Guardians. Cardinals win game 2, 9-6. They're up 2-0 in the series. Guardians scored all of their runs in the fourth, chasing Miles Mikolas. Here is our friend, JD Haffron, fellow Game Night host, with his thoughts on what happened for St. Louis in this one.
The Cardinals overcome a 5-run. The St. Louis Cardinals overcome a 5-run deficit to come back and down the Guardians to secure a series victory. Hey, it's JD from Locked On Cardinals. And one thing that this team has been able to do this season is come from behind and win ball games. And they did it again on Saturday. Took the lead early when Brendan Donovan hit the very first pitch of the game over the wall in right field for a solo homer. But the Guardians would take advantage of Miles Mikolas, who looked good until the fourth inning. And then he started tossing up those patented Miles meatballs that miss right over the heart of the plate. Guardians hit for the cycle in the fourth inning with a single, double, triple, and 2 home runs to take a 6-1 lead. But the Redbirds punch back. They've been doing this all season. They score 2 runs in the fifth, and then they start the sixth inning with 5 straight hits, eventually tie it up and take the lead 8-6. Wilson Contreras smashes his 11th dinger in the 9th inning. Cardinals get their 21st come-from-behind victory this season. They win at 9-6. They'll go for the series sweep on Sunday with Matthew Liberatore on the mound. For the latest updates and info, be sure to keep it Locked On Cardinals.
Scale 1 to 10, panic meter on the Cleveland Guardians.
Again, they've got a resume in a sense of I want to believe in them. Just
they've been so good for so long, but they're 500 right now in June.
I'm scarred with them because I'm not resume here, but back-to-back weekends a few years ago, and MLB Studio, ESPN Radio, where they went 18 innings and it was either 1-0 or 2-1 in back-to-back Saturdays of 18-inning playoff games. You still need another bat or two behind, and Big Christmas is in the minors and is not, panning out at the big league level. You need more bats around Jose Ramirez. That's the guy I want to see in a league championship series and a World Series. I want to see Jose Ramirez play deep in October one year with the Guardians. But again, I think they come up short. It's like we just talked about with the Rays. Yeah. You want to believe that they can make a deep run, but it's sort of like, it's all of a sudden in October baseball, their warts come about. The A's in the Moneyball era, the Twins every year when they get bounced by the Yankees. Rays and Guardians, until they do it, it's just wishful thinking.
Yeah, they thought Lane Thomas was going to be that guy, and he has not been that guy.
Yeah.
Plus, he's also not been defensively good enough for center field either, so it's kind of the worst of both worlds there. Okay, Marlins at Diamondbacks. Marlins rally late, take this one in extras 8-7. Here's our guy, Jeremiah Geiger, to kind of talk about how they came from behind to win this one.
Ever count out the Miami Marlins. It's Jeremiah Geiger from the Locked On Marlins podcast. This team was left for dead. It was 7-3 entering the 8th inning. Sandy Alcantara, 6 innings, 7 earned runs. He gave up 10 hits. The Diamondbacks were rolling. And then in the top of the 8th inning, Otto Lopez, 2-run jack, 7-5. This team gets closer. They put up another run, 7-6. Now we're going to the top of the 9th. 1 out. Dane Myers is on second base. Heriberto Hernandez at the plate. Myers takes off. He had stolen second. He decides to steal third, gets called out. What are we doing? But they challenge and it's overturned. He's safe. era. Clutch Hernandez with a game-tying sac fly. We go to extras. Augustin Ramirez, first pitch he sees, RBI single. 8-7 Marlins, and Anthony Bender's that dog. 2 innings, gets the win, closes it out. You can't count out this team. Let's go Fish.
He's right. You can't count them out. Like, listen,
No.
they've won 6 in a row. It's their longest winning streak of the year. They're 11-4 in their last 15. I ask this kind of already being worried about the answer. Do my Atlanta Braves need to be worried about getting passed by the Marlins in the division standings?
Not only that, I think the Phillies and Mets should have this Marlins scheduled on their circle for the rest of the season because they appear. I mean, they're still under 500.
Yeah,
they just appear right now that they are starting to learn. They're learning on the fly. You know, they had a ton of comeback and walk-off victories last year, and it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. And they're putting it together. They're starting to play with some real confidence and understanding. It's a different level when you can come to the ballpark every single day and say, "Hey, we got a chance here." They're a couple. They're not the Rockies anymore. They've got an opportunity. So within the division, yeah, Atlanta, Washington. I mean, Washington can be one of those teams too in the same division.
Flip side for Miami, I do think the pitching's still not there. They're 26th in,
Right.
in runs allowed this year. I do think that's kind of their weakness still. But maybe they keep Sandy. Who knows? All right. Phillies at Braves. Braves take this one 6-1 with 13 hits, but none of them was bigger than what they got in the 7th inning out of Sean Murphy. Here's Jake Mastriani, my host of Locked On Braves and my co-host for the podcast, to talk about it.
Spencer Schwellenbach dominates the Philadelphia Phillies with a career-high 12 strikeouts as the Braves bounce back with a big win on Saturday night. Jake Mastriani here from Locked On Braves. And look, after what happened on Friday night, the Braves getting absolutely embarrassed, you needed to come out and have a great game against the Phillies to even up this series. And it helps when you have your best starter, at least your best healthy starter, on the mound in Spencer Schwellenbach. And he was absolutely brilliant in this game against the Phillies, a career-high 12 strikeouts in this one, and did it a little bit different fashion, going to that slider a lot in this one at the bottom of the zone, getting a lot of swings and misses on that pitch. But just a great performance by Schwellenbach. The Braves had to have it, and then after the offense failed to put the game away early, Sean Murphy does late with the Braves' first grand slam of the season, and the Braves get a much-needed win to even up this series. We'll talk more about this game over on the postcast in the next episode of Locked On Braves.
Yeah, it was the Braves had so many opportunities to score. They had runners in the 5th inning, runners on 2nd and 3rd, and the heart of the order up 3, 4, and 5. Not only did they not score, they didn't score on in 6 pitches. The inning was over. Just so many opportunities. They kind of get bailed out by the Sean Murphy homer there.
There are teams like that. They're almost indifferent to that, but the manager's just got to be stewing. The hitting coach has got to be stewing along the lines of, come on, we didn't put up any fight there. The Phillies remain a half game up on the Mets, who lose to the Pirates. We'll touch on that one in a bit. But just, did I see right? Sean Murphy, first grand slam of the season for Atlanta?
First Atlanta grand slam of the season came in game 82. So just past the halfway mark. Yeah.
Okay.
First one they'd had since August of 2024. That's kind of how long it had been. They've had opportunities. They just didn't get one over.
Schwellenbach, in his outing, career high, 12 strikeouts. Was he a lot of 4 and 5 pitch at bats, or were there long at bats for the Phillies as he racked up those strikeouts?
It was really quick. He was around the zone so much.
I love that.
He threw like 90 pitches, 69 of them were strikes. And so just something where he was getting ahead of batters really quickly, and then he could take that slider below the zone. They'd have to chase after it and not get it. And it was just a little bit of trouble in the 6th, but that was it. I mean, it was pure dominance there. Spencer Strider. Go ahead.
Just real quick on it. He's a top 10 strikeout pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. Not just in the numbers, but just he's a guy who can legitimately go out there and get you 8-9 strikeouts a game.
And accurate? What I love is, yes, he does that, but he can also be that guy. He's like, I'm going to throw a bunch of sinkers and get out of these at-bats in 2 or 3 innings and give you a complete game. And that's what I love about him. Max Fried of the Yankees is a very similar style to that. He can ramp up the whiffs. He can just pitch to contact. I love it. So it gives you a lot of flexibility, especially when you get to the postseason, right? Because if something's not working, they have a good game plan, you can adjust. All right, real quick here, Mariners at Rangers. 10 innings here after going 12 innings on Friday night, but Rangers win this 3-2 in 10 innings. Marcus Semien bases loaded single to get the walk-off, their fourth walk-off win. 3 of those have been in extra innings, and 3 of their last 4 games have gone to extra innings. Really good pitching on both sides, and nobody got a decision. Brian Wu, 6 innings, 2 runs. None of those were earned. Kumar Rocker, 6 innings, 2 runs. Both of those were earned, combined for 3 walks, 15 strikeouts. And it's Luis Castillo opposite Jack Leiter in the finale. You want to take Blue Jays and your Red Sox?
Yeah, Red Sox snap a 6-game losing streak, season high 6-game losing streak. 15-1 victory against the Blue Jays. That series now even, a game apiece. Wilyer Abreu, 3-run home run with 2 outs in the first inning against Chris Bassett. Red Sox putting up 3 in the first, 3 in the second, 3 in the third, chasing Bassett from the game. Romy Gonzalez, 3 hits, double, 2-run home run. Cedon Rafaela, also a home run. The 18 hits, 8 different hitters in the lineup with multi-hit games. Roman Anthony, the rookie, who everyone wanted up in the big leagues, and then everyone wanted to send him down because he got off to a slow start to his big league career. 3 hits, 2 doubles in the win. Giolito notches his 4th win, gave up an unearned run over 7. Walker Buehler, Eric Lauer lefty, the pitching matchup. It's a big one for Buehler on Sunday, Lindsay.
Yeah, it's big for both teams. They got to get that done. All right, in just a second, Giants, White Sox. Nobody wanted to score runs here. We'll talk about that next, right here on MLB Game Night. I completely lost track of time on this one. Giants at White Sox, 1-0 win. The only run scored is a 2-out solo homer by Andrew Benintendi in the 6th inning, his 10th of the year. Giants only had 4 hits, all singles, 8th shutout of the year, and the 4th time they have lost 1-0.
Can I pat myself on the back there?
Go ahead.
Because I looked that one up, I had it, and then all of a sudden I read the game story from AP, and they had it as well. But for me, they were able to confirm what I had gotten there. They've lost 4 1-0 games on the season. That's too many.
It's got to be frustrating. They're 4-11 over their last 15, and since they got Rafi Devers, they're 4-7. It just blows my mind here. But they're hoping that they could do it on Sunday. Justin Verlander is their starter. We don't know who the White Sox are throwing out there as of yet, but feels like Verlander's still going to have the advantage, even despite being a 4.52 ERA. You want to take Mets Pirates here?
Yeah, Pirates. They clinched the series. They've outscored the Mets 18-3 in taking the first 2 games of this series. They got 3 in the second on Saturday and 6 in the 8th inning to break it open, and they win it 9-2. Andrew McCutchen, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Ke'Bryan Hayes, 2 hits, 2 RBIs as well. Mets were 21 over 500, 45-24 with a win against the Nationals on June 12th, 3-12 since.
And they called the infamous players-only meeting after the game. The media had to wait to go in the clubhouse because they were all doing that. And they lost Paul Blackburn. He only pitched 1 inning because of the rain delay. So that kind of makes it tough. They had to go heavy in the bullpen after they went heavy in the bullpen against Atlanta this week. Special recognition here. Dave Parker passed away earlier on Saturday. Was inducted to the Hall of Fame this year, or was selected, was going to be inducted on July 27th. Thanks to the Classic Era Baseball Committee, but obviously did not make it to that. So our thoughts are with his family. He was one of the greats. Padres at Reds. Padres 20th comeback win of the year. Like 6-4 victory here. Jake Cronenworth, the Crone Zone, 2-run homer in the 6th. Gavin Sheets, 3-run homer in the 7th. And Sheets continues to be kind of one of those, like, where did they find this guy thing? 13 home runs on the year, 3 hits tonight, 2 doubles. And the hard part for me is Andrew Abbott pitched really well for the Reds. We talked about him yesterday. 5 innings, 1 run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. And the bullpen kind of blew it late. But Stephen Kolek versus Nick Lodolo tomorrow. So we get to see surprisingly similar stat lines from Kolek and Lodolo.
Yeah, rubber game in the 3-game series. And, both teams that may not – well, the Reds, I think, have a better shot at a division title than the Padres do, I would think, in the West. But, I mean, right now, this is a big series in the sense of taking the final game because both are looking at, potential, being a wild card, one of the 3 wild card teams in the NL.
Yeah. Okay. Rockies at Brewers. Brewers one hit the Rockies and win 5-0. Quinn Priester, 7 innings, no runs, 1 hit, 2 walks. I just retired the first 8 batters he faced, 2 out walk in the third to lose the perfect game. I know it's the Rockies, but still, this is one of the best performances we've seen him put up this year. Is he turning a corner? You have some experience with Quinn Priester, I think. He was with the Red
Chuck
Sox
Freeman. Yeah, I mean, this was a trade. There's no such thing as pitching depth, but Quinn Priester was sort of down on that depth chart for the Red Sox going into the season. They made a trade where they got a prospect for the future and, some different things that they can finagle down the road. But, Chuck Freeman, Priester had a rough outing early on. It was like, let's cross this guy off the list. I said, no, don't do it. This guy I liked, wasn't a lot with the Red Sox last year, came from the Pirates.
Right.
And I really like him in this rotation. And he can do some things. He got a little nastiness, a little feistiness to himself, and I always like that with starting pitchers.
Brewers have won 4 in a row. They've won 8 out of 9, and they're 11 games over 500. If they get the sweep tomorrow, it's their 4th. If the Rockies and German Marquez can avoid it, if they don't avoid it, it's their 13th time being swept this year, so that's tough. All right, final game of the night, Nationals at Angels. Angels came from behind, won this one 8-2. 6 runs in the 7th inning, Steve. Just, shout out Mike Trout for the solo home run there. But after that, they just kept going.
Yeah, Christian Moore, 2 strikes, broke the 2-2 tie with a 2-out RBI single. They went from there. Kevin Newman also had a 3-run home run. That made it 6-2. His first home run with the Angels. 5 of the 6 runs in that 7th inning against the Nationals bullpen. That is their Achilles heel right now, coming with 2 outs. Soroka, the starting pitcher for the Nationals, 6 innings. 1 earned run, but again, the bullpen giving up a lot from the 7th inning on. Nationals, they had a chance for a winning road trip if they could have won Saturday and then again Sunday. Right now, limping to the finish line, I guess you could say. 3-5. Their 9-game road trip to the West Coast wraps up on Sunday.
Soroka feels like he's going to be another trade candidate. I mean, he's really picked it up recently on a 1-year deal. He's not going to be back unless they give him a longer-term deal. He might get moved to somebody. All right. Steve Lennox, final thoughts on either the slate that is or that was for the day or tomorrow's slate of pitching matchups.
Yeah, I had it all day in my head. If you don't mind, I'll pivot it just a little bit.
Go ahead.
Dave Parker was big in my youth in the 1980s, going from the Pirates to the Reds and then to the A's. And was just a veteran bat, having a calming influence and being a big part of Eric Davis in Cincinnati, then being a part of the A's in the late 1980s. And I just always liked Dave Parker. I mean, a huge guy, huge personality. We are family in the late 1970s, won his first of 2 World Series with the Pirates in the 1970s, won an NL MVP in 78. He was just, a huge person, a huge personality, like I said, but just a guy who is just such a link to the 1980s for me of just, Parkinson's disease over the years. I wish I know his family will enjoy it. July 27th, when he's inducted into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. This should have been done years and years and years ago when he could have simply enjoyed it with family and for himself too.
Agreed. This has been MLB Game Night for Steve Lennox. I'm Lindsey Crosby. We'll catch you guys next time on MLB Game Night.